Hello, this is Brent Johnson, reference librarian at Widener University Law Library in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And this is a quick tutorial discussing the American Law Reports, the ALRs, and why they are a valuable secondary legal resource to consult when conducting your legal research. First off, where will you find the ALRs in print in our library? They will be just through the glass doors as you enter the library, just to the right in the first row of shelves. Here's where you'll find your ALR set in print. What are the ALRs? Initially, they started in the early 1900s as an annotated case reporter. Uh, the publishers of these case reporters organized case summaries around important specific legal questions or points of law. So they tried to arrange cases around one or two important cases that detailed a particularly important nuance of law. Uh, why would checking out the ALRs help your research? First off, it's an excellent way of finding primary authority on your situation. Usually you'll find extensive case law, citations in an ALR annotation, but you will also find mention of on-point federal and state statutes that pertain to the area of law that is contained within a particular annotation. And you also have to remember that since there is a scholarly analysis interdispersed through these through the case citations and in ALR annotations, you don't have to spend a lot of time reading a variety of cases. You can easily pinpoint what are the important one or two cases in that particular narrow area of law. Components of an ALR annotation typically consist of the following things you see here on the slide. Table of contents, some citations to other legal research references, predominantly West published publications, legal encyclopedia, practice aids, those sorts of things. Plus then you'll see an index of the annotation, which will help you navigate the annotation, followed by table of cases, and then the scholarly analysis. So here are some screenshots of a typical ALR annotation, the first page, and then you'll see the research references. So they give you encyclopedias and texts which might be helpful, West practice aids that are on that particular topic, as well as federal statutes, digests and indexes, as well as key sites, topic and key numbers, etc. And then also the table of cases here, broken down by jurisdiction, and then finally getting into the actual scholarly analysis of that narrow area of law that the annotation is discussing. Arrangement of the ALRs. It's broken down into two main varieties of ALR volumes, ALRs, and then the ALR federal sets. Up until 1969, ALR contained both federal and state causes of actions in their annotations, but then after 1969, West Publishing Group broke it into ALRs and then ALR Federal series. How do you go about finding annotations in print if you're using the print ALR? The first off is the ALR Index. The ALR Index covers both series of ALR and ALR Federal, as well as the ALR Digest set. So the ALR Index, if I was researching an issue on the Anti-Cyber Squatting Consumer Protection Act, I would go to the ALR Index, and then under the A's there was an entry for the Anti-Cyber Squatting Protection Act, which leads me to a volume number, which ALR set, and then the page number that the annotation begins in. And then also the ALR Digest is another way of finding an annotation if you're using the print set. ALR Digest track with the topic and key numbers of West. So ALR Digest, the topic trade regulation. This also leads me to anti-cyber squatting statute, 177 ALR Fed 1, just like the ALR index did. How do you update your research using ALRs in print? It's a two-step process. First, you'll want to see if an ALR annotation has been superseded by a newer annotation. This is done by consulting the table of superseded annotations in the ALR index, and then also the pocket part of the ALR index. So I would find the annotation history table in the ALR in any volume of the ALR index, and then look for my ALR citation to see if it is listed in this table. If it's not listed, then it hasn't been superseded. And then also, even if an ALR annotation has not been superseded, you'll want to check to see if there has been any new analysis or primarily any new case citations added to an ALR annotation since the print volume was last published. So to do this, you'll check the pocket parts in both the federal and the ALR sets 3rd through 6th series, and then also if you're doing older ALR research, there are other volumes to consult as well. So the ALR index pocket part would look something like this. In the back of the volume that my 177 ALR Fed was contained in, here's the pocket part, and it will give me new cases pertaining to this area of law. ALR on LexisNexis and Westlaw. The secondary legal source is available on both services, though LexisNexis does not contain the ALR first series, and the Westlaw coverage will contain some e-annotations that are not available in the printed volumes. Ways to search: typical LexisNexis Westlaw fashion, terms and connectors, or natural language, plus you can also retrieve by citations. Or you can also click on the ALR links in the Results Plus. If you've got a primary document up on Westlaw, there may be a link to an ALR article on Results Plus, or in the related content box in LexisNexis. So quickly, some screenshots. The search screen on ALR on Westlaw, it's going to be very similar in Keysight, in LexisNexis rather. So if you're doing a terms and connectors search, you're going to have a variety of fields that you can further restrict your search by. So that's why I do suggest using a terms and connectors, whereas natural language, you're not going to get as many field restrictions. Now, if you've already found a case on Westlaw, in this instance, Lands End v. Remy here, dealing with the Anti-Cyber Squatting Act, and here in the Results Plus box on the left column, you can see a link to the same ALR article that I did find in researching it in print. Also, using ALR on Westlaw here, if you pull up your ALR annotation, you can key cite it here to see if there are any cases or other secondary sources that have cited to your ALR article, as well as if you click on the West Key Numbers link here, it will give you a list of topic and key numbers that are associated with this area of law. And then on LexisNexis, ALR screen here, pulling up the same Remy case that we saw in Westlaw. You can also see in their related content box here, there's a link right into my anti-cyber squatting ALR article as well. So very similar feel in both LexisNexis or Westlaw.